guys, it is I, Halloween Dan, coming at you with a slightly unexpected video, something I wasn't anticipating at all, because today I want to talk about something that I don't think it's ever happened before, because we've got some brand new props to talk about, which is nothing new, but they're brand new props to talk about that are coming to the UK. Like, that has never happened this early in the season before. Like, these images that I first saw were revealed like in January, and it's only just February. So I don't know what's happening, but it's pretty cool, and there's a lot of people here in the UK that are very, very excited for this. So what I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna talk about some brand new props that are coming to the range. That's right, the range, one of the biggest Halloween emporiums that the UK has. So let's do this. Now, I've flip-flopped on this range of products a few times now. If you've been with this channel for any length of time, you know that I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with not so much the range, but with the products that they choose to keep, i.e. Sunstar. The range actually do an incredible lineup of Halloween goodies. Every year they step it up. Every year they bring out more and more stuff. They're like this neon sign that's right behind me. Bought that from the range, very, very happy with it. They do some incredible products. But when it comes to animatronics, they have, like many in the UK, tend to sit very firmly on Sunstar. And everyone knows the sort of opinion I have of Sunstar. It's, I wouldn't say, love-hate relationship's probably a bit too strong. It's more of a love-meh relationship. At this point, they're okay. There's nothing wrong with Sunstar. They certainly have a place in the market, and I actually own quite a lot of Sunstar products. It's just, I don't think you can build an entire haunt around Sunstar.
I beg your pardon?
I know there are some that do, and if you do, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just saying I personally don't think you can build an entire haunt around Sunstar. They're just finishing touches. They're added little bits. There's some cool items, and then there's some questionable ones. But I'm not going to get into the sort of Sunstar bashing side of things, because do you know what? This lineup is actually pretty good. It's okay. It's actually surprised me in several ways. I'm still not 100% certain if I would buy any of it, but it still is quite impressive. And it's impressive that we're seeing this kind of stuff released this early for the UK. Before I get into showing these images and footage and things that we've got on these products, I want to give a big shout out to my good friend Harry J Vlogs, who shared a lot of these images with me very early on, shared most of the footage with me, and also a friend on our Discord channel that we have, our UK Haunters Discord, who is Halloween Dude, who also is very interested in this stuff, and one or two of these images I saw on his channel. So thank you to you both. Big shout out. Go and follow them if you get the chance. So I thought I would do this in a kind of a staged way, starting with my least favorite, heading to my most favorite of this lineup. And I do that in a tiered sort of way, starting with the first tier, which is hell no, I'd never buy that. Then we've got the tier that is meh, it's okay. And then we've got the tier which is, yeah, it's pretty okay.
Okay.
That's literally as enthusiastic as I can get about Sunstar. I'm sorry, guys. I know there's a lot of you that love it, but that's just me. So let's start off with hell no. And it is probably no surprises here, a clown.
I hate that clown.
But I'm not saying I don't like it because it's a clown, just because it's pretty generic. So this is just being called the standing multicolored clown. And that's exactly what it is. It's a standing clown. He's 6 foot high. It's the costume quality, and the quality in general doesn't look too bad for these sorts of things we sometimes see from the range. It actually looks okay. But the face is very generic. I'm pretty sure we've seen that face mold before. It's got 2 tufts of red hair and a bald head. I don't think it does a huge amount. It's got red LED eyes, and it's just Something very similar to stuff we've seen out of the range before. I was just a bit kind of like, ugh, another one of these? Okay. I mean, I don't think we've had a 6 foot standing one for a while, but still, it's pretty basic. I'm just not over enthused about it. Let's just put it that way. So that was certainly a hell no from me. The other problem with it is there was some pictures of it originally and it was holding a hammer, and it was its one redeeming feature. I thought, ooh, cool, it's got a hammer. And then in some later images, it seemed that had been changed from a hammer to a tray. So now it's a butler. Like, why is it a butler? Now, I know I always think too much about these things and I take this stuff too seriously, but why would you have a clown butler? I don't know. Do we need another butler? We've got plenty of them already. That to me feels a bit sort of like a secondary thing. Like, oh no, the hammer's too expensive. Give it a tray. You know what I mean? Like trying to cost cut, keep the price down. Apparently as well, though this is all just through the grapevine, the action this thing has is that it jiggles. A weird vibration that we used to get in old school props. Like, sorry, is this 1997 calling Put Down Bone the range? You know, like, I had a spider that went, that's a crazy impression. I did that exact same thing back in the 90s. Like, have we not progressed? I was hoping by now in 2025 we'd be flying around in cars in the sky like the Jetsons, not still seeing Halloween props whose their biggest animation is, you know what I mean? And this thing isn't cheap either. It's like £50. £50 for something that just jiggles and is 6 foot. Not sold. Sorry, it's a big thumbs down from me. Now we move into the category that I'm titling meh, because there's nothing too wrong with these. They're just kind of meh. I don't know. One of them is a lot less meh than the other. One of them is actually okay, pretty cool. Actually has a really interesting motion. It's just, there's a thing about it that makes me want to go meh. So we start off with the most meh prop, which is a prop called the Standing Spirit of Halloween, which sounds really impressive until you see the thing. We've got a large Reaper-esque kind of a prop. The second lot of images we got of it were a lot better than the first, but it's still a very basic looking animatronic. It's kind of confused too. Is it a Reaper? Is it a kind of a scarecrow? We've got some sort of straw hair coming off this guy. It doesn't look as if it knows fully what it's supposed to be. I do like the hands on this. The hands kind of look like tree sticks or something, like it's tree-like, made out of branches or something. I don't know. That's a quite interesting detail. And generally the face is kind of generic, but it's also kind of unusual. I do like that skeletalized sort of, I don't know, scarecrow-y face. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. But then the rest of the costume is just a whole bunch of creepy cloth and just some very basic cloth to sort of give it more of a body. You can clearly see it stood on a Christmas tree stand, which again, kind of says to me, this is a pretty weedy prop. It looks too thin. My biggest qualm is, why don't they ever give these things shoulders? Like, they need to go back to like the 80s and give this guy some shoulder pads. Because it just makes these props look so hollow and so empty and not scary, to be honest. Give him some shoulders. I'm sure it would actually butch this guy up a little bit, make him look a little bit more formidable. Yeah, a simple and pretty cheap thing that they could do to that, I think, that would actually make this more impressive. We have got a little bit of footage of this prop, if not a similar prop, though this prop has a straw hat for some reason. This isn't shown in any of the pictures from the range. And its motion is pretty much what they all do. It's a kind of a... That's a pretty good impression. I've got props that do that. Many of them are Sunstar. We've seen this before, so not very imaginative there. But you know what? It's meh. Next of my meh props might actually surprise a few people because it is actually pretty impressive. And that's what's being referred to as the Halloween standing pumpkin. Now, it's pretty cool. It looks pretty cool, I have to say. I like the pumpkin head on this. I think it's an impressive looking pumpkin head. And the costume overall looks actually pretty good quality. It's still on a Christmas tree stand, which kind of annoys me. But it doesn't look terribly bad quality. It actually looks pretty good. And what sets this thing apart, what makes it worth having, I think, is the motion. Because that pumpkin head cracks open, revealing a weird little clown head inside of it. It's a very similar motion to what we saw in the haunted standing lady from last year, whose head popped off, revealing like a witch's head underneath it. This one's obviously breaking in two, revealing a clown's head inside of it. And I think that's why I've put it in the meh category. For me, personally, I know there's a lot of people who are going to love this. For me, it's a bit meh because I don't understand why it's a clown with a pumpkin head. I know I'm overthinking it. I know I shouldn't be so down on things like because of little details like this, but those two things to me don't cross. Why would a clown have a head of a pumpkin? It feels like a mismatch there. It feels like it should have been something else. Actually, a witch's head or something would have made more sense inside of a pumpkin, possibly even a scarecrow's head inside of a pumpkin. It's kind of a harvesty vibe, right? So why it's dressed as a clown and then revealing a clown's head and it's got a pumpkin head, I don't know. Just that one detail made me go, meh. A lot like the standing lady last year, this is about £60, so not too bad. Again, I'm not fully sure. You have to kind of see these things in real life to see if you think they're really worth that money. The images and the footage we've got actually don't look too bad, but I think it could be questionable how good a quality this is. So I'm going to hold on to any cash until I see this in real life. Then we move into the, okay, category. And we start off with a clown. I know, I've actually put a clown into one of my higher categories. I'm changing. I'm growing. And that is a clown described as the XL standing clown. Now, to begin with, I had put this very much in the hell no category and was not even thinking about it. And I'm still not thinking about buying this, in all honesty. It's just that I quite like what it does. For Sunstar and for the range, this is actually quite impressive. So first of all, on closer inspection, this is actually a pretty good looking clown for the range. Though the face mold sort of looks familiar and it probably is a recycled face mold, what I like about it is the details they've added are kind of, you can tell they've thought about the details a little bit more than just, oh, we've got a clown. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Art the Clown from Terrifier. It clearly isn't Art the Clown. It's just that you can tell they've thought, Art the Clown does well. Everyone likes Art the Clown. Let's give it a slight makeup look that resembles Art the Clown this much. It's got like bloody marks coming out of the mouth, like it kind of looks kind of gross and bloody and evil looking. Its eyes actually look pretty good too. And it's wearing this kind of old school clown outfit that I think looks quite impressive. It's all monotone, it's black and white. Just as clowns go and the sort of clowns props we get here in the UK, this is actually a pretty good one. Basing it on nothing more than looks alone, I actually think this is quite good and I think a lot of people are gonna like this. But what really sets this clown apart is what it does. And what it does is that it rises up ever so slowly. Like it kind of looks like it's stretching and growing, which is really quite unusual. I'm not really sure I've ever seen that in any other clown ever. I don't think I've ever seen it. It's actually quite cool. It's a very, very basic movement, but it's just enough that it creates this quite imposing looking clown. And that in its own right is something different too. I don't think, or I can't remember ever seeing an animatronic from the range that was over 6 foot. They're always about 6 foot. This guy stretches up to, according to some, about 225 centimeters, which is basically about 8 foot. It's quite an impressive, quite an imposing prop. I'm guessing that 8 foot is what its total height is once it rises up a little, but still, that's still quite impressive that it rises to that kind of height. So I think this is going to be quite popular, and for $72.99, it's not too badly priced either.
Hey, step right up and witness my true form. Watch closely. Oh no, I'm growing taller.
And the final prop in the, it's okay category is the standing bride and groom. Now, when I initially saw these images, this was the one that impressed me the most, just looking at the most basic images we had. As a standing prop alone, they do look actually quite impressive. The costumes here do not look cheap and generic. They look quite well put together. Both the groom's outfit and the bride's outfit have some great details on them. The skeletons too that make up the two characters actually look quite good quality too. The actual face mold of these skulls looks kind of good, kind of interesting at least. And the details that you can see, the feet of the groom, the hands of the bride, all look pretty good. They actually look really good quality. And you can tell they're a better quality than what is usually available because instead of being on a Christmas tree stand, they're actually on a proper metal base, which always means that these are of an ever so slightly better quality than what we're used to. Now, I nearly put these in my meh category at one point because until I realised and saw some more footage, I thought that these were just going to do nothing. They kind of looked, from the basic description the range provided, it looked as though the most they did had light up eyes and made some spooky sounds. And I was like, that's really pointless. Why would you just want a bride and groom skeleton couple doing nothing in your horn? And then some footage was shared with me from my good friend Harry J Vlogs of these things actually in action. And the action is a pretty good one. It's basically the bride is holding the groom's head and then she pulls the groom's head off. Clearly it's a spring up action where the head of the groom springs up, but it's obviously designed to look like the bride's pulling the groom's head off, which I think is quite impressive, quite fun, quite interesting. It'd be interesting to see what it actually looks like in real life. It'd be interesting to hear the sounds that this thing makes because we don't have any sound yet with that footage. And overall, it's pretty cool. The only thing that's really putting me off with this is the price tag. It's £130. Like, that's really expensive for a Sunstar prop. Even a Sunstar prop that's technically 2, it's really expensive. And this is now straying into Costco prices and categories. With another £40 or so, you could have a quite impressive SVI quality prop from Costco, and instead you're buying a Sunstar prop where the head pops off. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be too harsh, but personally I feel that price is a little too much. Maybe make it 100, possibly even 90, and it might be worth it. 130, I'm not so sure. But that's it. And that's a pretty impressive lineup. That's really impressive for what we usually get from the range and really impressive for this time, for this early into the season. I'm not sure I'm going to be parting with any cash on any of these because they don't really suit my haunt. As such, that's really the only reason. And also, I think some of these prices are a little high. It's one of my biggest qualms for props that are actually quite basic a lot of the time. I think they overprice these things. Most of the stuff that comes to the range, I think, needs at least £10, if not £20, being knocked off the price tag because I think they're just overinflated, overpriced for what they actually are and what they actually do. I could bang on all day about the quality of Sunstar stuff and how sometimes it doesn't seem to last, and that's my biggest qualm. I think we pay a lot of money for these things, and then my personal experience is that these things don't tend to last. Out of the 6 or 7 Sunstar things I bought last year, 4 of them were broken by the time Halloween had come and gone. Some of them had broken before Halloween. And that's my biggest qualm with Sunstar more than anything. It's not that they don't have a place. It's not that they aren't good things. And they are very cool to look at sometimes. It's just they don't last. You could go, oh, well, it was only £20. Oh, it was only £50. Oh, it was only £40. But that's still a lot of money to invest in something that's not got a great deal of lifetime to it. You know, that might last a season or 2 before it's absolutely knackered.
Knackered?
Personally, I think that's my biggest qualm with Sunstar, and it will always remain my biggest qualm. But looking at these, I'm quite impressed. I think that actually this is a step up for Sunstar and a step up for the range. So I'm quite excited to see if they bring anything else out that is relatively impressive. And I'm also excited to see how the season develops from here. It's actually got me a little bit excited. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.